Good afternoon or good evening, depending on when this video reaches you. This evening from Yammy B TV. Wishing you all well today, as usual, and sending loads of love. But this one is more of a share come story to my early experiences in crack houses and what I saw, what I felt, I suppose, a little bit, if I can remember as much as I can. But no, following on from the laundrette, where both parties got conned, where I thought I was being smart and they was being smart, but in the end nobody was smart because nobody won, no winners or losers, which can happen in that lifestyle, which is very very frequently happening. So yeah, we left the laundrette. I went to my friends down by Goulburn Road, which is Labbot Grove. I think there were three of us by that time. I think my mate T had gone, and it was just me and my two besties from childhood. Like I said, I was feeling a bit down that I didn't have extra money from the weed, and basically all I had was the discharge money. So during this time, I think early on, like the late 80s or cocaine powder and that kind of stuff, it had come fleetingly, because in the 80s it used to be more washed up from powder form to crack cocaine form, and I experienced a couple of bouts of early smoking of it, but nothing to the extent that was about to happen during this time. On getting to my friend's house, probably 60 quid on us, 50 quid, 60 quid. And at that time, like I said, I was only smoking the heroin brown on foil. Little did I know that one of my friends had already started injecting, and one of them was more into crack rather than the brown. And he would only take the brown probably to come down from the white during that period. But like I said already, they were already bigger users than me. And, I was basically a bit of a novice. And being the kind of boy or man at that time, well, I thought I became a man, I got round to the house and I said, can I get a little bit, can they score to get me a little bit of brown? Because like I said earlier on, I was withdrawn a little bit from prison, mild withdrawals, but it was mental also. But yeah, it was going to be my first taste of that kind of thing outside there. But on getting the brown, because I passed the money over for them to get it, or one person to get it, he came back with a £20 bag and a couple of rocks of 20s of stones, which is crack, yeah, like we know. So sitting in the house, I'm asking if there's any foil to use, and he said, yeah, there's a little bit in the kitchen, but hold on a minute. So I didn't understand what was going on because I hadn't really seen people use syringes before. So he's got the syringe out, done what he's done to make it up to go into the needle, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I was quite sad to see my friend doing this, and I said to him, I don't do this. And he said to me that he'd put it all, bar a little bit, left in a wrap into the needle. So whether he was trying to, get me basically to use the needle, I don't know. But he took his hit, and there was a little bit in the wrap, and he said to me, Yammy, you should take a hit of this. It's much more potent and goes straight to your head. And for a minute or so, I was nearly in agreement. He started to put the needle by my vein, and the other guy was saying, what are you doing? What are you doing? Yammy doesn't do that kind of thing. And then he said, oh, Yammy's like me. His life's finished. It was finished a long time ago. And then the other guy said, why are you telling a man that's just come out of prison, basically, that his life's finished? Because it was a bit doom and gloomy, the pre-morbid stuff about how we feel about ourselves during that time. And basically, he missed. So just as he was about to do it, it didn't go in or anything. And of course, I realised early, before it was too late, it wasn't something I actually wanted to do. So he missed it, and there was a little bit left in the wrap. I put it on a bit of silver foil and took a tube through the tube, and then smoked a bit of the crack. So during this time, I didn't really have nowhere to live. I didn't have no plans coming out of prison to go straight or nothing. So it was as it started that day, really, that I was going to continue from where I left off the last time, which was to be heavily involved in crime. So we've got that day, and the next week or so, the crime started. by way of burglary, which is breaking into people's houses, sadly, you know, in kind of rich areas, if you like. I think we've heard that before. But anyway, my feelings during this time, like they were saying to me, or one was saying to me that I could stay there at their house on the sofa, and good, don't worry, stay with me, Sam. And but I loved him anyway, and I agreed to it. With somewhere to stay, and I was with close friends during this time. There were no relationships of any kind with anyone else, lady wise or that kind of thing. And my mum and dad were still alive at that stage, and I was not going to go back there. I can't remember what the reason was, but I think it was because my drug taking in jail had reached home, and they didn't really want me in there as much as my mum did. I think my dad, they, you know, drug scared, A-class drug scared a lot of households during that time because, you know, the kind of behaviours that are associated with it. People wouldn't want to be too close to, you know, users like me, especially with the rumours of my reputation and the way that, you know, that I was behaving. So anyway, I stayed there for a few days, and one of those days, uh, we went down Abbott Grove, and I visited my first ever crack house. So we're talking Royal Oaky, Alexandra Place, basement, where we walked down to one of those nights after stealing, where we had money to go and buy drugs. So knocking on the door, my first ever experience of a man opening it, saying, "Who is it? Who are you? We come to buy." And I've walked in with one of my mates. So we walked into the sitting room, and well, the sitting room was like a empty kind of house, but with two bedrooms and a big sitting room and a kitchen at the bottom, a toilet on the side. On going through the doors, there's 5 or 6 people in the passageway. Then you go into the left into the room, and the big dealer, if you get what I mean, was sitting in a big sofa chair, and I walked in and I said, "Could I buy?" Oh no, my friend said he could buy a couple of 20s, 3 20s, 4 20s, 5 20s. I can't remember. It's not that important really now to me. But they took a liking to me straight away, and I remember taking my first ever crack pipe in there that was different from the Evian bottle, which you put cigarette ash on. And in this house, they had glass pipes, which was like a little ball with things going up, things going down, and you put the thing on the edge, and someone burns it with you with a burner. And so I took my first lick, my first, feel of that way of doing it, and immediately I felt the difference. For a minute, I was lost, I was insecure, and I knew that I was in the wrong place, and I didn't like the feeling about being around a lot of people smoking. You see what I mean? It left me feeling, because when I walked through the door, I was brave and strong, and while I was in there taking that lick, I felt really vulnerable, not the same, man. There used to be a saying back in the day, like it turns mouses into lion, meaning that if you haven't got a lot of bottle, like you were brave, or not brave, but once you take that, it can make you really brave. But then on the other hand, I also heard it turns lions into mouses. And I think I was one of those ones, or was it because you're too digi or too fidgety or too scared of who's coming, who's going? During that stage, I had a few enemies from jail, and basically I didn't like the feel of it. There were women in the house, and you could see that they were hardcore smokers, probably been at it long, long before I came along. Basically, you had the ones in the house as well that would ask you, if you're using the house, to give me a little piece of it for using it, to be able to smoke in the house, if you get what I mean. So, yep, that's how it started, and that was the first day of visiting a house of such things. I saw a couple of people in there that I knew from jail, and when we got outside, I was nervous and we was walking back to the house, my friend's house where we came back from, and lo and behold, me and him fell out. A couple of days later, he had his missus there as well, so it's very difficult, and I ended up going there on my own, not knowing what I was getting myself into. So I'm going there on my own. My chest was big, the muscles were out, and I befriended the big person who really had the run of the place there. So yeah, it wasn't a nice feeling. I didn't see the I didn't, I couldn't believe actually how quick you could go downhill in such a short space of time. Because remember, I'd only been out a couple of weeks, but not much eating going on. You're sleeping kind of somewhere where nobody's really looking after themselves as well. And yeah, I spent a day in there, a night, and then the owner asked me if I wanted to be doorman. Because one day the security man that holds the door, who gets paid by way of crack for his work, wasn't there. And I offered, volunteered. I said, well, I'll do it for you. And they said, yes, that would be all right. I'd done it for a night. And I was thinking, it was kind of familiar territory for me because in prison, during those early Brown things, the dealers inside there would say, Yammy, can you hold the door while I wrap it out in there in the cell so nobody's allowed to get in? And, I felt kind of responsible, like I was security, like it made me a bit something to hold on to or something, where, somebody was relying on me to do a job, same old kind of thing. But yeah, I did it for a night or two, and certain people that were knocking on the door hadn't seen me before. And then a couple of people were coming to the door, trying to push their way through. And I think, yeah, that's right. One man tried to push his way past me. I think I looked too sweet or whatever. He thought, or I don't know whether there was a colour thing going on, and he thought he could push past me. But basically, I manhandled him and put him down on the floor. And the owner was saying to him, well, what kind of behaviour is that? But I think she was shocked that I could wrestle with him and kind of restrain him really, really quickly, which led to some other things later on that I'll tell you about as well. But there was a couple of things, during that stage. I remember being in the same clothes for 3 days, and I remember a guy coming in and picking me up off the floor and said, Diablo, what are you doing in here? This don't suit you, because he was probably coming there to buy and then going home to smoke, but must have saw himself as not being as bad as the people that actually stay in the crack house kind of thing. So, like I said, it was a terrible environment for me to witness, as there were two ladies in there that from the 80s I used to go stealing with, and to see the deterioration years later. One lady's name was Fashion, rest in peace, and I'd done some crime with her in the early days, and she was a lost soul. But I remember making money with her, and she seemed to be, watching me while I was in the house, because I was out my depth basically. Because you find, sadly during addiction, the sharks and the real professionals, the ones that are used to all the mind games and like fooling you kind of thing, thinking that, oh, we'll get you to take a lick, get paranoid, and then take liberties with you because they could hold the feeling of the pipe differently to me, and probably could see that I was looking a bit, weaker or vulnerable. But during these days, I always used to carry a knife, sadly, as my protection. I always had it close by, especially in those places as well, because you never know who you're going to bump into from jail as well, especially when I started to develop enemies from jail, from, the latter stages of the late 80s and early 90s. So basically, Fashion, she had a mirror out, and it was coming to the end of a session, and basically she was saying, Sam, look, you can get the recycle, which is the scrapings of the pipe, underneath, where you can scrape it out, put it on a mirror. But then I saw her do something with a fire and burn it, and it all crush up, and it looked like a lot of powder kind of thing. And I was thinking, how's they going to do this? Like, I've never seen this before. They used to call it the good, the bad, and the ugly. I was thinking, what's the good? What's the bad? And she was saying the recycle is the bad or something, or the ugly, and the bad was something to do with when it was thing. And then by the time that the recycle was ready to put back in a pipe, because you could get the recycle, I realised, and I would find out, in a few moments what it actually meant, because she said, all right, put that in the pipe and then she bought a 20 or something and took a bit off that as well to put it in, which made it three different things: the good, the bad, and the ugly. Take a lick of that. I thought to myself, yeah. So she's holding the ball, ball. Got the Bunsen burner. She's telling me to pull slowly. You remember, I'm a novice. I don't even know how to hold it, burn it at the same time at that stage. But I took the pipe, and like my head, it was like dreamland. Oh, I was all over the place. Whatever was in my pockets, I kind of froze up. And she was saying, "Look, sit down, sit down." And I sat down on the sofa. And she was saying, "Yammy, just cool, take the lick, take it in and breathe heavily." But I don't know what was happening at that stage, but it was very, very, I felt really, really seriously vulnerable, but I'd never smoked nothing like this. I started to take things out of my pocket. I think I had a couple of quid or whatever, and I started dropping it on the floor, and others were picking it up because I didn't want to know. I know I must have looked like a riot mug. But yep, I got swallowed up, and the addiction for those few weeks became, really, really serious by staying in there. My first ever taste as well. I was thinking, yeah, what are you doing? What are you doing in here? But crime continued. One of those few days after, a week, couple of weeks after going through this, I think I was only out about 7 weeks at that time, and all of it was like that. One of those nights, one of those days, I made money and came back and bought, 300-400 quid's worth, and into the next day without sleeping, another 300-400 quid's worth, and the money was basically running out. But I was buying off the same person. I was kind of, building up a little relationship that way, so that they thought I was thinking, if I get used to spending decent money with you, you'd kind of respect me as a decent earner, with money, because this was a thing that was really important for me. But after the second day of one of those sessions, we got into the third day. It was a Sunday morning. Like I said, I was buying off the same geezer, and I came back. So not came back. I went away. Came back after going away somewhere else to smoke, and then coming back to the house. Basically, yeah, I had £17 left, and I said to him, "Can you give me a 20?" And I was with one of my friends, and and before we got there, I said, "Will you give it to me for 17 quid?" And he said, "Well, I don't know, he's funny sometimes," kind of thing. But I was thinking, well, you're spending money with him, he's got to give you a little leeway or anything. Remember, this is like 8 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday. And no, we got there, and I said, "What, you won't give it to me for 20?" I couldn't believe it. I was thinking, you spend money like that and you won't even like let go a little £2, £3 to get me what I wanted. So I kind of took offence to that. So I looked at him and I said, so like, I wasn't, the Jamaican slang. I went like that. So I said to him, "Who you think you're chatting to?" And he looked at my friend and he said to him, he goes, "Who's this white man think he's talking to?" And my friend went, "I'm a white man, Dad," which means my friend was telling him he looks like a white man, but really he's a black man. So I kind of got a bit vexed and started to tense up a little bit, because I was thinking, I want to knock this geezer into orbit and space with an uppercut or something. But my friend could see that I was getting itchy, because I was thinking maybe I could knock him out and take all the gear off him, which was the theme in prison. But I hadn't really started it outside. Do you remember the weed thing before that? So basically, my friend looked at me, but when he said to me, I'm a white man, Dad," which meant what I just told you, I kind of felt pleased that he was sticking up for me for that kind of thing there. So I could basically have the £17. I stormed off. I said, "Listen, stay there, I'll be back soon." So with the £17 in my mind, I was thinking, what was it? 1 second. I was thinking, well, Yammy, this is what you do. You get a bus or cab to Edgware Road, Marble Arch, and try and make some money down there just to come back. I felt quite, aggressive leaving this man, so it spurred me on to go and get some more money. But on getting in the cab, paying the fare to get down there, I was thinking my mum will use the money to get more money in that life. This is how it, the thinking can leave you sometimes. But yeah, when I got out of the cab, I was down by Edgware Road. I think the Water Gardens or apartment blocks were in the background on top of the shops, and I knew that I had results by way of stealing during that time or years before, where you could get decent money, kind of thing. But that morning, my trousers were falling down, my armpits were smelling. And it wasn't the same Yammy from the 80s who was a con man basically, but looked a bit sweeter. But now I looked quite rough. You see what I mean? Due to the binge that I'd been on since release. So anyway, we got to Edgware Road. I got to Edgware Road, sorry. And I've got into an apartment block. So I'm skating around and looking and waiting for an opening. But I think it's Sunday morning. It's going to be very difficult to see people going out or knock doors and people going to answer and phone the police and that kind of stuff. But lo and behold, I found, and sadly, an occupied place and basically took off the front door my feet. That's how it was. We know the story. And I've gone in and I found a Gucci bangle or something with a watch head, and I found some Malaysian dollars, and I found a brand new box of shoes. Right, so I was just on a quick thing anyway to just go back to go and buy some more. But I was feeling, like my time was running out outside. I was sinking fast, but I still felt, the adrenaline that morning. So on coming out the apartment block, I've got the shoe box in this hand. I put that little bit of jewelry in my pocket, and I had the Malaysian dollars. So I was thinking, I don't know what I'm going to get for these, but I'm going to bring them back to the house. I'll change up the the Malaysian dollars, and bring the shoes and watch or whatever back to the crack house and sell it and get more money, if you get what I mean, when you're trying to mount up the money on things that you could sell afterwards and that kind of thing. So I'm walking down to the Bureau de Change, my eyes, I can't see properly. I'm moving from side to side, and you look like a ghost kind of thing. But on this Sunday morning, it was dead quiet for Edgware Road. And I've gone into the Bureau de Change with the box in this hand and looked in, gone in the front entrance. But while I'm at the entrance, I could see three geezers at the front of the counter. Remember the Bureau de Change, a black screen underneath it. I mean, a see-through screen that you can't really jump over and take any money or anything, and the money comes underneath, like in till form, but different to a shop, if you get what I mean. So my mind's thinking, I thought I was seeing things. I was looking, and I could see that there were some exchanges going on because their backs were to me, so I could look, so I could see US dollars being changed, and I'm thinking changed into English money, but then I saw, some big raps coming through. I think I told you about the Bureau de Change robbery in another story, but this was the build-up, to them early days of addiction in the crack houses. This was the rest of the story, if you like, so some have heard it, some of you haven't. But anyway, I'm standing there, and I can't believe it. He's saying, no one's saying anything, sorry, they drifted off there. So I'm looking, and I'm thinking, is that what I'm seeing? Because there seemed to be rap after rap coming underneath the counter. So I don't know whether I got there halfway through the collection of the exchange for the US dollars for the English money, and then there was still more going on. But I see their hands; it was coming under, and it was going into a pouch, which I think was a Samsonite pouch, which you put the bundles, each one. There must have been £1,000 wrappers. Putting it into the Samsonite pouch, I said, yes, I don't care. I'm taking all this today. So I put the box down to the right. I've gone over, and they're still exchanging. So he's taking out some more US dollars to give behind the counter. So I put my hand over the two arms, pulled the pouch, and pulled it back like that. I felt a slight tug forward, but then I pulled harder, and I was gone and left the shoes on the floor. So I come out running out the Bureau de Change. I'm thinking, Yammy, you're taking risks in the middle of Edgware Road, Marble Arch. So I run across the road, no traffic, run through Cumberland Terrace, round into Seymour Place, and two of them are chasing me, but they had shoes on. I could remember hearing the clogging of the shoes on the floor as I was running, but I felt sick. I was running. I was thinking, you can't get nicked for this, Yammy, not with this money. You can get back to that crack house and have a really field day. In the back of my mind, it's very interesting that I thought, I can't wait if I get away with this money. I was even saying to God, sadly, let me get away with this, because I wanted to get back to the crack house to show that dealer that he's going to wish that he would have given me that stone, that rock, for £17 instead of telling me no, and it was going to happen. But they're running. I've got into Seymour Place, can't see no traffic. I'm thinking, you've run about 400 yards through all that, and you haven't bumped him, because you know normally it's a busy area for police and those kind of things. So once I got to Seymour Place, I was happy to see a black cab with a yellow sign on it. So I've got the pouch in my hand, but I'm excited, but I want to vomit. Been up a couple of days and that. And I got into the black cab. He stopped. By that time, as I turned into Seymour Place, the last of the runner who was following me or run chasing after me, I lost sight of him, and the cab had come at the right time on this day, because you know sometimes it doesn't work out that way. So it was a brave move, really. I wouldn't be getting away with it in broad daylight on probably a weekday, but on this day, you know, it felt good. But once I got into the black cab, I was going, yes. But I felt like I wanted to vomit. I said, cab, yeah, back to Lappet Road, Royal Oak. Can you drop me there? Blah, blah, blah. And I said, you've got a big tip coming. And then he drove off. He goes, you look like you've had a good day. I said, yeah. I don't know what I said during that moment. But all I know is I just wanted to go and get more, because the more money I had, the more that I knew that I could sit there smoking, basically. But little did I know there was more to come. So I got out, paid him, gave him £100 tip, green £50 notes, and there was still US dollars to change as well. Got into the house, 3 or 4 people there, and the guy was still there. But during this time, the owner had gone. So this guy that I went to earlier was still there, and there was 2 other dealers there as well. So when I got into the house, my friend was still there, a couple of others still there, but it wasn't actually a full house. So I've gone back in there and basically started asking the other couple of dealers, because I wanted to disrespect that man that refused me the gear, to make him see how small his mind is, that if he would have stuck with me, I would have probably bought the whole lot of him, if you get me. Silly thinking, buzz addicts and things like that, you know what kind of feelings, and nothing's ever right. Know what everybody's thinking around certain things. Some maybe just for the gear alone, but me, my biggest incentive that morning to go out there, get it, come back and show him, and pull out a couple of grand wrappers in front of him, and bought off the other 2 in there, basically. £40 ones, £20 ones. How much you got in the money bag, mate? There's 10 40s, 20 20s, blah, blah. I said, I left a lot. And he was just there looking. And then as I was coming out, because my friend said he had another house to go to, as I was coming out, he said to me, so what? You not spend no money with me? I said, spend money with you, mate. You know, like to say, like we say, listen, all right then. But I let him know. But anyway, you know, that was that, and we was about to leave, and then I saw fashion. I'll tell you what disturbed me a little bit as well, you know, that one of those memories of fashion as well, because she used to sleep in one of the bedrooms sometimes in there, and I used to hear her screaming at night, but I used to think she was being hit. So I used to open the door and I used to look to see, and she was having nightmares. And then when she used to wake up, say, what was all the screaming about? And then she said to me, no, I just had nightmares of men beating me, and it just comes to me at night. And I felt so sad for her, you know. I never liked that kind of thing, you know. It's them kind of houses not suited to none of us really. Much as a memory that stuck out, and then later on in life, while I was away, I heard that she died. But during this time as well, she came to the house afterwards where I had all the money. And I went to another crack house, which was up by Queensway, I think, at that time. And it was full. And I was giving it to Charlie Big Spuds, look at me, but like a fool. Like the fool I was. Every time I took a pipe, I was giving everything away. There was another lady in there. And I said to her, after I took a bite, like turned really silly, I said to her, I took a £50 out, and I was thinking, Yammy, are you mad? These people in here could just rob you and stick you up and blah, blah, blah. But I was still trying to like push it out like I was brave. But, you know, I had a couple of friends there as well that were hanging on to me for the money at that time. And I remember passing, taking a smoke and going, yeah, here's £50. And she said to me, no, I don't really do that kind of stuff. So I was thinking, what kind of stuff are we talking about? And she said she was probably indicating that she thought I was giving the money for sex and that kind of thing. I said, nah, I'm not giving it for that, I'm giving it. And the girl she was with said, no, take it, oh, thanks. Yammy, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, the kind of things that go on in that crack house. But that spell there, the first of its kind, you know, the feelings from it, and deep, you know, the body, the clothes, the sweat, the people, you know. But a couple of things have stood out. I'll probably remember more another time. But just to let you know, I'll follow on from this story another time, because that period of change, robbery stroke theft, would come back to get me a couple of weeks later, which I got sentenced for. So, yep, I'm doing the best I can. I hope you know, like, you understand what I mean, but it's only my second share. But I just felt to let you know today, feeling really good, but reflecting a little bit makes you quite sad as well. All right, so, yep, big up to you all, sending loads of love. Tony, Lisa, I love you so, so much. John, Ben, big up. Quincy, Matthew and Claire down in Abbeyvale, big up to you as well. And all my angels, Sister Love, S, Marina, TJ, I love you dearly. And Army B and Richie down there as well. And Lee Mayo, yes, we're on our way to you now. We're coming down, all the boys coming to see her, because we've got to talk, and you know, we've got things to do and all that. So send a big shout out to you, Lee Mayo, as well. I'm on my way down, boy. Sending love to you all. See you all soon. Sending love.